Hello, girls.
So naturally, I was saying earlier on that I felt very privileged to be at the funeral, and in its own way it was really uplifting. And you, I have to say, you were so dignified and you were so strong that day. Was that just you, like, putting that on, or is that how you feel? You're feeling pretty strong?
You go through phases. Some days I am. I had a couple of days last week where I just went to pieces completely.
Because you had a birthday and an anniversary last week.
It was our wedding anniversary the day after the funeral, and then Paul's birthday on Wednesday, and also my sister, who's been with me throughout it. Her husband was having a triple heart bypass, so we had a lot to deal with. So I held myself together through the funeral and kind of through the next few days, and then it just went. But I am a pretty strong person, and I think because of the life I had with Paul, I'm a person that's always counted my blessings. That when I'm having a really sad moment, I look around me and think of what other people are going through. I've got a niece whose young husband, who's only 26, George, hello George if you're watching, who's having chemo for a brain tumour at the moment, and they're young and they've only been married 3 years, and I had almost 38 amazing years with Paul, and Gloria knows, we laughed all the time. He wouldn't have wanted a funeral that was depressing. Paul went to other people's funerals and made people laugh in a respectful way, so that's what I wanted for him.
That's what keeps it going. When did you actually notice the first signs of something that was wrong with Paul?
Well, we were away doing panto for the whole of December, and I just noticed that he wasn't his usual chirpy self, because Paul talks to everybody, and wherever we went, in a shop or, whatever, he would always make everybody laugh or have a chat with you, and he just was not as chirpy. And so when we got home from the panto, he went to the doctor just saying, oh, I haven't got a lot of energy, and that wasn't Paul. I mean, he really had more energy than anyone I've ever met in my life. And he had some blood tests that showed up a condition called pernicious anemia, the symptoms of which are severe exhaustion, and that you're in like a fog, so you can't describe to people how you're feeling. So he started having injections, so it's very treatable, but after about 5 injections, he was deteriorating. He wasn't improving.
But you know what's incredible to me anyway?
Yeah.
Because that's panto at Christmas. You didn't finish panto until January, and yet he had this massive brain tumour. It's incredible how he was able to function that long.
Yeah.
And you never really noticed anything except a bit of tiredness.
No.
So you really had a very short time between that diagnosis and, sadly, his passing.
Yeah, and in the panto, family and friends that came that knew him, I said, now, I've been saying, could you see something was wrong? And they said, no, only that, having seen Paul perform before, he was always very funny, live and fast. And in panto, he never stuck to the script, ever. And he did for this panto.
You don't have to answer this, and I'm sure the girls would be interested to know as well. And you don't have to answer if you don't want to. I just wonder what those last days were like, because it was in the papers, obviously, that you had brought Paul home. And the sort of growth that he had allowed him to be, as I understand it, in a reasonably happy state.
Yeah.
So were you able to have all those conversations that one hopes you can have?
No, Gloria, because the tumour was pressing on the part of the brain that processes information. Right. But what we were able to have for that, really, from diagnosis, it was a month until he died. The last 2 weeks he was at home, we had one fantastic week where my big thing was I had to get him home. The torture was that if he stayed in hospital and I never got him back to the house, I couldn't bear the fact of thinking he might never come home. That was my, that was really making me upset. So once I knew I could get him home, then I just thought, well, whatever time you've got left, because they just said it wouldn't be long, but couldn't really tell me in any kind of way how long.
Did they tell him that as well? Did he know that?
He didn't understand,
he didn't
Colleen.
understand.
And when they said to him, do you want to know what's wrong, Paul? He just said, tell Deb. He didn't really understand. So once I got him home, I just thought, well, whatever time he's got left, this has got to count.
What did you say to each other?
Well, I mean, we told each other we loved each other about, every 10 minutes. And my sister's here in the audience today. About 3 days before he died, there was one day that Donna and I were both in the bedroom with him, and I was kneeling on the bed. I said, oh, I love you, darling. And he went, I know. I think he'd had enough.
So how will you coping with the quiet? Because the house must be so much more quieter now because he was so full of
You
life.
haven't seen an Irish family.
Yeah, when my family were around, he had trouble getting a word in. So I really haven't been on my own too much. And Paul's family as well have been there, and his youngest son was with me with his girlfriend all day yesterday and whatever. So the days I've been there on my own, I've tried not to stay in all day. I'm really trying to get back to work, because then you focus on something else and you then suddenly go, oh, there was an hour that I actually haven't thought about it. And as a person, I don't know how other people feel in this position, but it's a weird thing, but you feel like your body feels like you're made of eggshells, that if someone touches you, you'll
might
just
break.
go, you know?
I know that.
And so I feel a little bit like that now, because coming on and doing this was...
Of course.
I never get
very
nervous. I never get nervous, but today I was nervous. But, you know, you do. And then you have to kind of say to yourself, right, think of something positive about it. And then, OK, I'll go and have yet another cup of tea. And one good thing is that I've lost, you know, about 3/4 of a stone. I'm eating 6 meals a day. Sorry.
You're tiny anyway, baby.
I just had 2 stuffed croissants in your green room outside. So I'm having lots of cups of tea, and I just go, right, OK, then, right, what job am I doing now?
You look fabulous.
If you've enjoyed that, then why not click here for more? And don't forget to subscribe by clicking here, so that you never miss out on the best Loose Women moments.
What about her sons, Michael and Robert? How are they coping?
They're OK, because they don't live with me anymore. Well, Michael never lived with us anyway. Robbie's moved out. He's now living with his father. And, yeah, so we've all got our own lives to get on with. They're young, they got their own girlfriends, etc., etc. I'm just Billy No Mate, so, you know.
The book you've written, My Linda,